dive right into the deep end. Lead contamination poses a significant threat to public health.
Yeah, recently Governor Jay Inslee signed House Bill 1551 into law, protecting families by putting tight limits on lead in cookware. Joining us to continue the conversation this morning is the bill's sponsor, State Representative Gerry Pollet. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming on. So before we dive into the law, can you talk about why lead is so dangerous and why does it particularly affect vulnerable people?
Well, it's extremely dangerous. There's no beneficial use in your body for lead. And lead is well known for reducing the IQ of children when they're exposed to it. It has numerous other health effects. It destroys kidney function. It affects the child's behavior if they have elevated blood lead levels. The list of bodily harm it does is really, really high. And of course, it's infamous as the Mad Hatter's disease. But there's truth in why it's the Mad Hatter's disease. It destroys the brain. So small amounts of lead in your drinking water or in the food that you're cooking reduces the IQ of children. And it carries through for a pregnant mom who will transmit that lead into the baby.
Representative, there were some pretty alarming findings from Public Health Seattle and King County that I understand prompted you to sponsor this bill. Can you delve more into about what those were?
This is a true public health detective case. And one of the reasons I was approached to sponsor this is I teach public health at the University of Washington, and this will be a case study for years to come. The state of Washington had a program to test the blood lead levels of refugee and immigrant children and found that 44% of Afghan refugee children in the state had seriously elevated blood lead levels, 10% of them extremely high blood lead levels. And Public Health and the King County Hazardous Waste Program looked at these results and went to the homes of the Afghan refugees, trying to find out what the problem was. And they didn't find it as paint. It wasn't the water. It was the pots and pans and pressure cookers that were being marketed to the immigrants. These weren't just things that they brought with them. They were being marketed here in the state of Washington and online to refugee immigrants, and now being very widely marketed retail stores and online across the state of Washington and around the nation.
Well, it's no doubt that lead is a concern. It sounds very dangerous. How will the law mitigate the risk associated with that lead-contaminated cookware?
Well, what's exciting is we are leading the nation here. Frankly, this is something that the federal government could have and should have caught and hasn't acted on. The federal government has acted on lead in ceramic mugs that people drink from, typically adults though. And so we are the first state in the nation to adopt rules that say you cannot manufacture, import, or sell pots, pans, other cookware, especially these aluminum pressure cookers that have more than a very small amount of lead in them. And what will happen is the State Department of Ecology will funding to do testing. And Seattle King County Public Health and the King County Hazardous Waste Program have a program to also offer testing to vulnerable populations and offer replacement, which is very exciting, so that people aren't stuck with them or go out and buy something else, or worse, they don't go and say, well, let's get rid of this. I'm going to bring it to a nonprofit that will resell it. We don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Anything else that you think needs to be done to protect Washington families from lead contamination, Representative?
Well, it took 5 years for us to tackle getting lead out of our children's school water, which was way too long, and we're working on that. but we still have very serious problems where the state of Washington's legislature has a ban on the State Board of Health from adopting rules that protect children from environmental exposure. And that includes lead in the soil around schools, lead arsenate, and other contaminants in the school environment. And we have to get rid of that ban on the State Board of Health protecting children.
I wanted to go back to the law really quickly. In terms of the companies that sell or knowingly sell these lead-contaminated cookware in the state, what happens if the state find out that a company is doing that? Are there any repercussions from that?
Yes, there are very serious repercussions. If you are selling it knowingly, then it becomes a crime. I mean, you are poisoning people if you're selling leaded products knowingly. And so there's a set of fines laid out in the bill, and it's a criminal act if you're selling something with lead. Let me tell you how serious some of these products are. Someone who used one of the products tested, a pressure cooker for a stovetop, if they cook their meal in it and a child eats 1 cup of a meal cooked in it for 12 hours in a pressure cooker, they would get 600 times the federal government's daily limit for lead. And we're talking about just one small serving, smaller than my mug, half the size of my mug, in one day. So we've got to get rid of these products, and there need to be penalties. We agreed with the retailers that if they're not selling it knowingly, then there's no penalty. They just have to get rid of the product from their store shelves. But if you're selling it knowingly or you've reason to know, then it's a serious problem and there'll be enforcement.
Representative, I know we have some viewers watching at home who are thinking, do I have one of these lead-contaminated cookware in their home? What should those people do to sort of make sure that that isn't the case, or if it is, to make sure it's not used?
That's the question I was hoping you'd ask, because we have to talk about prevention here.
Yeah.
So the high lead cookware are typically aluminum that is imported, often from East Asia. And so take a look and see if you've got aluminum imported cookware, particularly if you have stovetop pressure cookers. Then take a look at Seattle-King County Public Health online. They've got pictures of products that they've tested, and you can see if you need to remove it from your house. But stainless steel seems not to have any problem. It's the aluminum from East Asia and India that made into pots and pans in these pressure cookers, Afghanistan, that frankly have serious problems because they use scrap metal and they're melting down things like batteries from cars into to make the aluminum.
Wow.
Horrible. I had no idea about a lot of that. Thank you so much, Representative, for breaking this down for us. And it's good to know that there are some preventative measures people can already be taking. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for airing this. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, of course.
Important discussion, yeah.